Vox recording is in the public domain. Chapter 14. Zuleika and Madame Morrel. Quite a long time had elapsed since the sudden departure of the Viscount Massetti from Paris, but Zuleika was still in complete ignorance as to his whereabouts and actions. He was in Rome, of that she had not the slightest doubt. She was equally convinced that his errand there was to establish his innocence of the terrible crime imputed to him by Luigi Vampa, to obtain proofs that would clear him in the eyes of her father and herself, if not of all the world. Why, therefore, did he not write? Why did he not give her some sign that she would understand? His silence discouraged the young girl, filled her with uneasiness. It seemed to indicate that he had not succeeded, had not been able to wipe the stain from his record. If so, she would never see him again, for Giovanni was too proud to reappear in her presence with a dishonored name, a sullied reputation. This thought was torture, and Monte Cristo's daughter felt that should her lover desert her, she could not live. As the days rolled by without a word of intelligence from the Viscount, Zuleika's fears assumed greater consistency and weight. She grew sad, inexpressibly sad. Her look lost its brightness, her voice its cheery tone, and her step its elasticity. The bloom faded from her youthful cheeks, giving place to an ashen pallor. She was no longer interested in her accustomed occupations and amusements, and would sit for hours together with her hands crossed in her lap, dominated by sorrowful and dismal forebodings. Mercédès noticed her condition and, ascribing it to its proper cause, strove in a motherly way to rouse and console her, but without effect. She spoke to the Count about it, begging him to use his influence to cheer his child, but Monte Cristo only shook his head, saying that they must trust to the soothing power of time, which could not fail ultimately to do its work. Espérance pitied his sister sincerely, but refrained from interfering, well knowing that nothing he could say would be productive of good. Albert de Morcerf, his wife, and Mademoiselle d'Armilly, who had learned of Zuleika's love affair and the dark shadow that had fallen upon it, felt a delicacy about alluding to the matter, and therefore held aloof. Besides, they were too much depressed by the circumstances under which Danglars had reappeared to be able to exert a cheering influence. When Mercédès returned from Marseilles, she was accompanied by Maximilian and Valentine Morrel, who immediately went to the mansion on the Rue du Helder and paid their respects to the Count of Monte Cristo, their benefactor. It was their intention to make only a brief call, taking up their residence during their sojourn in Paris at that famous stopping place for strangers, the Grand Hôtel du Louvre on the Rue de Rivoli, adjoining the Palais Royal, but Monte Cristo would not hear of such a thing, insisting that the young soldier and his wife should be his guests and partake of his hospitality. They were not reluctant to consent to this agreeable arrangement, as it would enable them to enjoy uninterruptedly the society of their dearest friends. Madame Morrel at once took a deep interest in Zuleika. She saw that some sorrow was heavily weighing on the young girl, and rightly divining that the tender passion had much to do with it, immediately endeavored to inspire her with a degree of confidence sufficient to bring about revelations. In this Madame Morrel was not actuated by curiosity. Her motive was altogether laudable. She desired to serve the Count of Monte Cristo, to do something to show her gratitude for the overwhelming benefits he had in the past showered upon her husband and herself, and could conceive no better or more effectual way than by striving to relieve Zuleika. She therefore promptly set about her praiseworthy but difficult task, resolved to bring back the roses to the young girl's cheeks and to restore hope to her sad and dejected heart. She began by using every womanly art to induce Zuleika to love her and look upon her as a friend of friends. In this initial step she succeeded even beyond her most ardent anticipations. From the first, Monte Cristo's daughter was attracted towards her, and it required very little effort on Mme. Morrel's part to win her completely. Valentine's disposition was so sweet and her sympathy so sincere that Zuleika could not help loving her. Besides, the romantic story of her love for Maximilian and the terrible trials she had undergone before being united to him through Monte Cristo's potent influence, with which she was thoroughly acquainted, predisposed Giovanni's betrothed to regard her as a woman to whom she could open her heart and from whom she might derive supreme solace, if not consolation. Valentine's quick and penetrating eyes read the young girl like the pages of an open book, and she was not slow in utilizing the advantages she acquired. Things had been going on in this way for several days when one evening Mme. Morrel proposed a promenade in the garden to Zuleika with a view of bringing matters to a crisis. She gladly acquiesced in the proposition, and soon they were strolling in the moonlight amid the fragrant flowers and centenarian trees. It was a sultry night, but there was a pleasant breeze that agreeably fanned the cheeks of Valentine and her youthful companion. Mme. Morrel had matured her plan, but Zuleika herself unexpectedly came to her aid, assisting her to put it into immediate and practical execution. After walking for a short space, they seated themselves in a magnificent pavilion or summer house situated at the extremity of the garden. It was built of white stone, the walls being perforated by several tall archways that supplied the place of both windows and doors. Ivy and other clustering vines clambered about the exterior, creeping through the archways and furnishing the ceiling with a verdant canopy exceedingly inviting and refreshing to the eye weary of contemplating the dust and dryness of the streets parched by the summer sun. Without were several great silver maple trees and numerous ornamental shrubs. Mme. Morrel drew close to Zuleika on the rustic bench they occupied, and taking the young girl's hand, said to her in a soft voice: "This is a delicious spot, my child." "Yes," replied Monte Cristo's daughter, "it is indeed delicious. When here I always feel as if I could pour out my whole heart into the bosom of some faithful friend." "Do so in this instance, my dear," said Mme. Morrel, persuasively. "I trust I am a faithful friend as well as a discreet one." "I believe you," rejoined Zuleika. "Ever since you have been in our house I have felt so and longed to make you my confidant, but I have hesitated to take such a step, fearing to burden you with troubles that might distress you." "Have no further fears on that score, then, but speak freely and with the certainty that in your sorrows, whatever they may be, you will find me a sincere sympathizer and comforter." Zuleika took Valentine's hand and, gazing into her face with tearful eyes, said, "You have noticed that I had sorrows, Mme. Morrel?" "Yes, how could I help it? But I have done more. I have divined their cause." Zuleika gave a slight start. "Divined their cause, Mme. Morrel?" "Yes," answered Valentine, "you are in love." The young girl blushed, but appeared relieved. Mme. Morrel had divined her love, had divined that her sorrows arose from it, but she had not divined the nature of the shadow that clouded her budding life and filled her with grief and apprehension. "Zuleika," continued Valentine with the utmost tenderness and consideration, "I, too, have loved deeply and desperately. I, too, have felt all the bitter pangs that arise from separation, but I have realized my dream at last, and the shadows that surrounded me have been swept away by the blessed sunshine of union and happiness. Confide in me, my child. If I cannot drive your shadows from you, I can at least give you true sympathy and the consolation that it affords." "They will be welcome to me, unspeakably welcome, madame," replied Zuleika, tremulously. "Then tell me all." "I cannot, madame, I have no right to, but I can tell you enough to wring your heart, to show you how unfortunate I am." "My poor girl, I understand and appreciate your scruples. You do not wish to compromise your lover, and you are right. Your decision does you honor. Is the man you love in Paris?" "Alas! No. I believe he is in Rome." "Then you do not know his whereabouts with certainty?" "No, madame." "Does your father disapprove of his suit?" "He did not at the outset, but very painful circumstances have since arisen, causing him to alter his determination, or at least hold his consent in abeyance. Still, I think he believes Giovanni can and will refute the dreadful charge that has been made against him." "Giovanni, your lover, is then an Italian?" "Yes, the Viscount Giovanni Massetti." "You became acquainted with him here in Paris?" "No, madame, in Rome." "And you think he has gone thither to clear himself of the charge you mention?" "Yes, madame. He came to Paris to solicit my hand, but suddenly disappeared after the terrible charge was made. I have not heard from him since, and his silence weighs upon me like lead." "I do not wonder at it, but perhaps, after all, he is only waiting for a complete vindication and does not wish to write until he has everything satisfactorily arranged. I do not ask you the nature of the charge, Zuleika, and would not allow you to state it to me, even if you were so disposed. But answer me one question. You have entire faith in Giovanni's innocence, have you not?" "I have, madame." "You are sure he loves you, that he has not trifled with your affections?" "I am sure, madame." "He is young, is he not?" "Yes, madame, he is young." "Doubtlessly his fault, whatever it may have been, was simply an indiscretion due to his years that has been magnified and made to assume unwarranted proportions by the tongues of envy and scandal. If so, he will repair it and return to you. If he is altogether innocent, as you feel convinced, he will move heaven and earth to justify himself in your father's eyes and yours. Love is potent, Zuleika, and will accomplish miracles. Trust Giovanni and trust heaven. All will yet be made right between your lover and yourself." "Would that I could feel so, madame, but I cannot." "And why, pray?" "Because Giovanni evidently has powerful enemies in Rome and its vicinity, who no doubt are at this moment operating against him and using all their efforts to prevent him from succeeding in his mission. What makes you think he has such remorseless enemies? A letter my father received from Rome in response to inquiries he made, and the illusion, it must be an illusion, under which my brother Espérance labors in regard to Giovanni. Your brother Espérance? Then he believes in young Massetti's guilt? Alas, yes, he firmly believes in it and stigmatizes the Viscount as the worst of scoundrels. Has he given you the reasons for his belief? Has he stated them to your father? He has dealt only in vague, mysterious allusions. An oath of silence, it appears, prevents him from speaking out. An oath of silence? Yes, and Giovanni is also likewise bound. Indeed. What is your lover's reputation in Rome? Of the very best. He is there regarded as the soul of honor, saved by his enemies. So far, so good. Do you know the standing of his family? It is one of the oldest, most respected, most aristocratic, and wealthiest in the Eternal City. Another strong point in the young man's favor. Zuleika, I am satisfied that the mystery surrounding your lover can be cleared away, but I am also satisfied that he needs assistance, the assistance of persons deeply interested in you, who have your welfare at heart and cherish your happiness as their own. But such persons cannot be found, madame. Of course, my father and brother are deeply interested in me, have my welfare at heart, and desire to see me happy. They, however, are not disposed to aid Giovanni, my brother for reasons of his own, and my father because he thinks that the Viscount should work his own rehabilitation. No, madame, such persons as you mention cannot be found. They can be found, Zuleika, and you will not have far to look for them either. Madame Morrel gazed at Monte Cristo's daughter with enthusiasm in her fine eyes. The girl was at a loss to understand her. Surely you do not mean Albert de Morcerf and Eugénie, she said. No, replied Valentine. They love you undoubtedly, but the needful assistance is not to be obtained from them. Certainly you cannot allude to Mademoiselle d'Armilly or Ali, my father's devoted Nubian servant. No, I do not allude to them. Whom then do you mean? Cannot you guess, Zuleika? A sudden thought came to Zuleika, filling her with intense amazement. You cannot mean yourself and your husband, Madame Morrel, she gasped. And why not, my child? Answered Valentine sweetly. All the assistance we can render you will be but a weak, inadequate return for what your father has done for us. He saved me from death, withdrew the suicidal pistol from Maximilian's hand, comforted us in our time of darkest despair, and finally brought us together after a separation that even M. Morrel deemed eternal, simultaneously placing in our hands wealth sufficient to make us altogether independent of the accidents and disasters of this world. Besides, before that, he was the benefactor of M. Morrel's father, saving him also from suicide that he had determined upon as the only means of avoiding terrible disgrace. You see, Zuleika, that we have abundant motives for aiding you. Oh, Madame Valentine, you utterly overwhelm me. How can I show my gratitude to you? By accepting my offer. These words were accompanied by a look of ineffable tenderness and sincerity. They instantly brought hope to Zuleika's heart. She burst into a flood of tears, but they were tears of joy. Still, she hesitated. What would her father say if she accepted Mme. Morrel's generous proposition? "Do you accept, Zuleika?" pursued Mme. Morrel. "I thank you from the depths of my soul, madame, but I cannot accept the sacrifice you and your kind, manly husband would make for me. My father would censure me, would never forgive me for adopting such a selfish course." "Trust your father to me, my child." "Oh, madame, accept your offer without consulting him." "There is no need to consult him. There is no need for him to know anything whatever about the matter. For the present, at least, it will be time enough to tell him what we have done when success has crowned our efforts. Should we unhappily fail, a thought that I cannot for an instant entertain, there will be no occasion to tell him anything at all." At that moment a man's voice was heard calling at a distance, "Valentine, Valentine, where are you?" "It is Maximilian," said Mme. Morrel to Zuleika. "He comes very opportunely." Then, raising her voice, she answered him, "Here, Maximilian, here, in the summer pavilion at the extremity of the garden." The husband hastened to the spot, and Valentine, making him seat himself beside her and Monte Cristo's daughter, told him all she had just learned. She also communicated to him the offer she had made to Zuleika, adding, "You will consent to it, I know, Maximilian." "Gladly," answered the young soldier. "Had you not made the proposal I should have made it myself." "Then we have but to induce Zuleika to authorize us to act. The poor child, however, hesitates, fearing the Count's displeasure." "She need not authorize us," said Maximilian quickly. "We will assume the entire responsibility on the step. But it will be necessary for her to confide in us more fully, to give us the data upon which to build our plans. I will get letters of introduction to the Viscount Massetti, and, once acquainted with him, the rest will be easy." Later that night Zuleika told Mme. Morrel everything without reserve, even giving her a little note to Giovanni, which stated that Valentine and Maximilian were her dearest friends and had come to Rome expressly to aid him in his troubles. A week after the momentous interview in the pavilion, M. and Mme. Morrel set out for Italy, informing their friends in the mansion on the Rue du Helder that they intended being absent some time, but refraining from giving even the slightest hint of the object of their journey. Chapter 14